If you check out some of the sites, Sports Illustrated, a few others out there, it seems like the two players that are trending right now in regards to a possible trade or could be traded is the biggest names I see, or the most forefront names I see, is Marcus Morris and Terrence Mann. Now, I've said before, I don't believe that Terrence Mann is one of those players they should ever think about trading, because I like his upside. I think Terrence Mann improves the more and more he plays. I feel like his game, definitely will improve the more opportunities he gets going forward, because I feel like, he learns on the fly and he learns pretty well. So I'm not sure if that is something that they should look into. I have said on many occasions that Marcus Morris is somebody they should look into trading, simply because he's just not consistent enough, and the inconsistency is not helping the Clippers get to where they need to be. But at the same time, you may disagree. You may think they need to keep both. And, in some aspect, I will say this, Marcus Morris, to me, he is a part of the Clippers culture. You know what I'm saying? He is a big part of their culture. He's a big part of what they have, built in regards to what they're trying to accomplish, which is win a championship. And, I just feel like his inconsistency can hurt the Clippers in big moments. And that's the reason why I feel like the Clippers should pull his chain off his neck and kind of let him go on about his way and, see if they can find somebody else for him. Simply because, like I said, if he's not going to be consistent enough for them to rely on him when Kawhi may be struggling in a game, or maybe when Paul George is struggling, or maybe even when Reggie Jackson is struggling, then why does he have $65 million in his pocket? You see what I'm saying? Why are you paying him $65 million to go out there and be inconsistent when you can give that to another player who could be inconsistent with less of a name than he is, and might play the same exact way? You see what I'm saying? So it's like, what is the point? You know what I'm saying? You give a man $65 million contract, he has to live up to that, no doubt about it. And the Clippers know that. And that's the reason why I feel like he's one of the names that Marcus Morris himself is one of the names that's in the forefront of everybody's on the roster, simply because they're trying to deal his contract, because they just they just not seeing the consistency, and they're not getting what they're paying for. So now, as far as Terrence Mann, I just think that's a waste. I think they need to find a way to keep him. I like Terrence Mann, and I think he's only getting better, and he's gaining more confidence the more he plays. And you got to save your young players like that, like him, Brandon Boston, players like that, Kennard, because like I said, they could be the future of the team possibly. So, and they're making strides. They're making hella strides, more than a lot of other young players are making in the league. Due to the fact they're not getting the opportunities that, Terrence Mann and Brandon Boston, Luke Kennard, players like that are getting, simply because the superstars on other teams, are not as hurt maybe as, Kawhi and PG has been this last year or so. But still, they're making strides. And I feel like those type of players you need to keep if you're trying to build or keep this culture going, and trying to build a good chemistry type team where, they can feed off each other's energy, per game they play, and the further they get, in the playoffs. But at this point, in saying all that, I wouldn't be surprised, who they trade or who they, try to go after in, the offseason and everything like that. Because as I said before, in the NBA, you can't make no predictions. You can try to predict, but that's the reason why the NBA is full of drama and full of different things that happen and occur on a year to year, season to season basis, because you never know who can get traded, or you never know what an organization is thinking or trying to put together. And it might involve losing some pieces that you wouldn't think that they would be willing to give up. Just the same way I felt, and I said earlier in the season, where they gave up Serge Ibaka. Now, they gave up Serge Ibaka to a team, to the Milwaukee Bucks, who are already champions, and really they don't even use Serge Ibaka. You see what I'm saying? They use them as the very, very back end. Like if they're up 10, 20, 40 points, something like that, that's when they throw them in there. So to me, the Clippers could have kept them, but oh well. Just another player they don't have anymore, and you have to move on from them. So I definitely understand that. But this is the reason why, I say that the Clippers definitely need to keep certain players in their locker room, because it's only, beneficial for them going forward. And I don't feel like they need to lose anybody else with any, really good high IQ for basketball, and the ones they do have there, they definitely need to try to find a way to keep them, and definitely want to try to keep as much core players as they can, because it's not even only about high IQ. It's just about having that chemistry and that culture, and the Clippers culture is unlike any other in the NBA, if you ask me, simply because the way they go about their business and how they have excelled without their superstars as a team. I don't think no other team in the NBA can say that they have a team that's able to even do remotely close to what the Clippers did without their superstars. So I just, if the Clippers are going to trade any players or anything like that, just be aware, to, get something back in return for them. Don't trade away players and get the unknown, because what they did this past season with the Eric Bledsoe experiment was just a waste of time. And hopefully whoever they trade, hopefully they don't trade anybody, with any value, of course. Hopefully they make the right decision. But of course, you got other names out there like Zubac, and, you got other names on the Clippers. I even heard Nicholas Batum's name, come up and reach the surface in regards to possibly dealing him with a trade and all that, which I would hate to see that, because I like Nicholas Batum, even though I know he's getting older and everything. And people remind me of that all the time, but I still like his wisdom, his value. And I like the fact that his IQ is still pretty high. And I like the fact that, they're, again, a good locker room guy, good presence to have, and a good backup if you don't even want to put him in the starting lineup. I mean, think about it. If they just use Nicholas Batum as a backup and let Robert Covington go out there and play most of the minutes, which I think that's really what they should do, since Robert Covington is another player who's versatile, kind of like... Actually, he's a younger Nicholas Batum, kind of in a way. So, I mean, have his value come off the bench if that's what you need. I mean, that's giving him more rest anyway for the postseason, when you're going to need a player like Nicholas Batum's value, wisdom, gameplay, and expertise on the floor on both sides of the floor. So, I mean, to me, it's just certain players they just shouldn't trade, But like I said, this is my opinion, I'm saying, rather than what the Clippers are going to do. So we'll just have to see whatever they decide to do, however it decides to pan out for them. But ultimately, it doesn't really matter. Regardless, the Clippers have to win a championship this season. I mean, they've had 4 seasons together, 4 years. You got to come up with something. Bare minimum, you got to make the finals. I mean, that's just pretty much what we're coming down to. I mean, all the excuses of injuries, all that, we get that. We understand that. But this operation was put together to win. It wasn't put together to feel sorry for each other. So, I mean, championship is going to have to come out of it, and that's just the way it's going to have to be. So, I mean, regardless of what the Clippers do in the offseason, really at this point, it doesn't matter, because it all has to equal out to a championship, or bare minimum making the NBA Finals, because this team is doomed. This team is destined, to do that, I believe, and they'll be doomed if they don't do it. So, I mean, it's a big season coming up for them, the biggest season of all their careers, really. Even though Kawhi has 2 championships, but I mean, I'm pretty sure he'd love to add a third to his resume, and Paul George would definitely like to add his first one to his resume, and plus the rest of the crew on the team. So, I mean, we'll see what happens, and we'll see what trades and what transpires in the offseason. But hopefully, according to Ty Lue, hopefully they can bring everybody back. But we'll see exactly what they do and exactly how the front office makes the situation work going into the next season. But hey, that's my take on everything. Leave any comments in the comment section, as always. And hey, Khaliis out.